In the heart of America's wealthiest cities, beneath the glow of towering skyscrapers and beside highways packed with morning commuters, an invisible world grows louder, larger, and more desperate. This world is not measured by GDP or Wall Street gains, but by tarp sheets tied to fences, tents pitched in muddy lots, and sleeping bags laid out on cold concrete. It's a world of those who have fallen out of the bottom of society, left behind by policies, forgotten by institutions, and unseen by most. This is the world of America's homeless tent communities, an ever-expanding footprint of suffering in a nation of abundance. The idea of homelessness has long been tied to images of isolated individuals panhandling or sleeping under bridges. But the modern reality is far more complex and widespread. Entire city blocks in places like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, and Phoenix are now home to hundreds of tents, lined up one after another like a bleak encampment of survival. These aren't temporary situations. For many, tents have become the last remaining form of shelter after every other safety net has been stripped away. Once, a tent was a last resort, something people used for a few nights in emergencies. Today, it's a long-term substitute for a home. It's a space where people cook with small burners, store their remaining possessions, care for pets, and try to sleep through chaos. Some even rig solar panels to charge their phones or hang up tarps to create some sense of privacy. But these small acts of domesticity can't mask the stark truth. People are living outside because there is nowhere else to go. And these aren't just people with substance abuse problems or severe mental illness, as stereotypes would suggest. Many are working poor. People with jobs in warehouses, kitchens, and delivery services. People who serve coffee in chain cafes or clean office buildings but can't afford rent in the same cities where they work. Others are senior citizens surviving on meager fixed incomes that haven't adjusted with skyrocketing living costs. Some are families who ran out of savings after a medical crisis or an eviction. Veterans, youth aged out of foster care, victims of domestic abuse. It's not just one type of person, it's anyone caught in a storm without a life raft. Housing costs have surged beyond reach. In many major cities, even modest apartments require a credit score, security deposit, proof of income, and background checks. Even if you meet those conditions, there are few affordable units left. Public housing programs are overwhelmed, with wait lists stretching years. And while shelters exist, many are full, dangerous, or inflexible. They don't allow pets, couples, or personal belongings. Others impose strict curfews and rigid schedules that don't work for people juggling jobs or mental health issues. For some, staying in a shelter is more traumatizing than sleeping outside, so they pitch a tent. It offers at least some control, some autonomy, and in many cases, a community. Because make no mistake, tent encampments often form into their own fragile communities. Neighbors look out for one another. Rules are informally enforced. Someone might cook and share meals. Someone else might keep watch at night. These encampments, as ragged and chaotic as they may seem, often provide more security and stability than city-run shelters. They are not pretty, and they are not permanent solutions. But for many, they are the best of the bad options available. Still, cities often treat tent communities as nuisances to be cleared rather than cries for help. Police sweeps are a common response. Crews in hazmat suits, accompanied by officers, descend on an encampment with trash trucks and eviction notices. People are forced to move with little warning, often losing essential belongings, documents, medications, or sentimental items in the process. These sweeps do not solve homelessness, they merely scatter it temporarily. Within days, the tents pop up again, somewhere else, less visible, more dangerous. The criminalization of homelessness only worsens the cycle. People get fined or arrested for loitering, sleeping in public, or obstructing sidewalks. A citation becomes a bench warrant. A warrant becomes a jail stay. A criminal record then makes it even harder to secure housing or employment. And so the cycle deepens. These policies don't serve public safety. They serve public discomfort, sweeping problems out of sight to maintain the illusion of order. What's more, the health consequences of living outdoors are devastating. People in tents are vulnerable to infections, violence, exposure, and mental breakdowns. Hygiene is nearly impossible without access to restrooms or clean water. Sanitation becomes a daily challenge. Cold snaps and heat waves turn deadly. Rats and insects thrive. Diseases like trench foot, hepatitis, and skin infections spread easily. Emergency rooms become the default health provider. And when people do die, because they do in increasing numbers, their deaths are rarely acknowledged outside of a line in a coroner's report. Yet in all this darkness, there is something powerful about human endurance. Even with almost nothing, people find ways to survive. A mother shields her child with cardboard and humor. A veteran hands out socks to those worse off than him. A young man writes poetry under freeway lights. Their resilience is not romantic. It is a testament to human will, not an excuse to avoid action. These individuals deserve not just admiration for their strength, but a path back to stability. The solution isn't elusive. It's just politically inconvenient. We know what works. Long-term, supportive housing, often called housing first, has shown success in cities that commit to it. This model offers people homes without preconditions, then provides mental health, addiction, or job support afterward. It's humane, cost-effective, and proven. But implementation is slow, funding is inconsistent, and public opposition is loud. Many communities push back against building affordable housing in nice neighborhoods, fearing a drop in property values or increased crime. This NIMBism paralyzes progress. There's also the issue of federal and state responsibility. Local governments are often stuck managing a crisis caused by national economic trends and decades of policy failure. Rents have soared due to unchecked speculation, under-regulated landlords, and insufficient affordable housing stock. Mental health systems have crumbled. The minimum wage hasn't kept pace with inflation. Healthcare costs remain out of control. These are not just city problems, they are national emergencies. And so we return to the tents, growing in number, visible to anyone who chooses to look. Each one is a monument to a person who fell through the cracks. They are not statistics. They are reminders that our systems are failing, that our society is fractured, that a country which can send rockets to Mars and billionaires into space still hasn't figured out how to put a roof over everyone's head. There's a moral question at the core of all this. What kind of society are we? If we accept that hundreds of thousands must live like this while others amass unimaginable wealth, what does it say about us that we step over sleeping bodies on our way to luxury coffee shops? What does it say that the wealthiest nation on earth allows people to die in tents, in alleys, parks, and sidewalks? The truth is, no tent should be someone's home, not in a civilized society, not in a country with such resources. But until the policies catch up with the need, until we choose people over property values, until we prioritize shelter over aesthetics, the tents will remain. They will expand. They will multiply. And the crisis will deepen. We must face this, not with shame or apathy, but with urgency and empathy. We need bold investment in public housing. We need rent stabilization, tenant protections, eviction prevention, and real wages. We need to dismantle the systems that criminalize poverty. We need mental health care that is accessible, consistent, and compassionate. And we need to stop pretending that this is someone else's problem, because the line between housed and unhoused is thinner than we think. In the end, a society is judged not by how it treats its wealthiest, but by how it treats those with the least. If we continue to allow tents to be the last resort for so many, we are failing, not just the homeless, but ourselves. Because when people are forced to live in tents on the streets of the richest country in the world, the true poverty isn't theirs. It's ours.